Good evening, children. Welcome to Aveti's platform. Aji amare puni Great 10 Grammar re samastanku both welcome. Also happy Navaratri arambha hela aji tu. So all our blessings to you and your family. So aji ro ame session re already last class re ame tense bisare arambha kartile. Present tense complete kariche. Simple present, present continuous, present perfect and present perfect continuous. Aji hame sikhiba what is past tense. All right, children. So let's begin today's session. Now, like we said, ame jodi recollect kariba present, past and future tense. Tinta tense amar English re. So we are already finished with present tense. So now we will only concentrate ajira session re on past tense. Past tense kona ame janibaku chesta kariba. So ethi bi chua mane tame dekhi parthabo past tense re we have one second. Yes, we have simple past, we have past continuous, past perfect, and past perfect continuous, just like your present tense. Present tense re jemiti amaro charta thila, eita re bi semiti charta divisions achi. So jemiti example re ami tame dekhi parthubo, I played football. I played. Played is your verb which jaro tense jota past re achi. So a verb sangare tense ta related thai. So I played football. Similarly, I was playing football. This is past continuous. Jotare tamara was kimba were plus the verb tapare ing lagibo. That becomes your past continuous. Now what is past perfect, children? Had use habo. Jemti etare tamara have use aitila. Has kimba have. Etare had use habo. And you have your verb play plus ed. Ed lagele it becomes past. So had plus verb plus ed becomes your past perfect. Now what is your past perfect continuous? Similarly, had been. Jemti eta tame dekhi parthubo present perfect amar jemti thila present perfect continuously. Similarly, itare have jagare had asibo. Had been. I had been playing football. The verb pare ing plus had been. Okay. So I had been playing football. Now let's go to the session, children. Now in past tense, like I said, past simple, past perfect, past continuous, and past perfect continuous. Now etare dekhi parthubo, eti tamara gote bahut sundar diagrammatically bujhaichi. Eta jodi tama present hela, eta hochi tama past, eta hochi tama future. All right. So past continuous ta mane kono? Eti tame dekhi parthubo emti continuous heki tamar chalichi. Past perfect ta kono? Gote jagare gote event bond hekiri next event arambh hochi. Past perfect continuous ta puni se event aguku chaluchi. So how do we do this? For example, past simple re, how will you identify, children? Very simple. Verb sangare tamaro ed thibo. Jodi regular verb achi, work, finish, e sabura jota tama regular verbs thae, regular verb ro past tense ta tame kemti karo? You just have to add an ed. So verb plus ed, it becomes your past simple verb ta hi jaye. Jodi irregular verb achi, jemti for example went hela. Jemti a example re went. Okay, go ra past tense hochi went, right? It is not goed. Okay, G-O-E-D tame lage paribani. So you all know that tame 10th standard racho, you all are very aware. So jodi irregular verb achi, tale irregular verb semti rahila. Au nai jodi verb sange jodi ed lagila, that becomes your past simple present, past simple tense. Okay, or simple past tense. Jemti I lived, lived. Lived is your past tense, live plus ed. Similarly, I was at home yet today. Is, am, is past tense of was. All right. So semiti, either it has to be verb plus ed, kimba it has to be the irregular verb, then it becomes your past simple. Now, what is your past continuous? Jemti mutamko already koi sachi, was kimba slash was plus ing form. Let me show you, children. Was slash were plus your ing. I was doing. It is a singular person, then was habo. I was do hochi your verb, ing hochi ta sange tame ing lagebo. Similarly, I was not doing or they were not doing. They were do plus ing, or they were not laughing. So the negative nella. They were not negative. Laugh is your verb plus ing. So that becomes your past continuous. You have to use this format. Was, kimba were / were plus ing form. Now let us see what is your past perfect. It had plus past participle. For example, I had never seen something like this. I had never seen something like this. Or I had broken up with my friend. Okay. Or she had not had the time to explore, or she hadn't had time to find out. Kichi bhi tama sentence jaha bhi hela. So, etar tamara kona hochi tamara format had plus your past participle. Sorry, children. Had plus past participle. Now, what is past perfect continuous? Very easy. Had plus been plus ing. Jota tamara simple sentence re bhi thila, sorry, present tense re bhi thila. Jota present perfect continuous re thila. Has plus been plus ing. Eiti hochi had plus been plus ing. And you can see the examples. I had been doing my homework. Okay. I had not been doing my homework. Negative sentence. Had I been doing my homework, this becomes your interrogative sentence. So think the format tamiti tamara e jo slide dekhi partuba. Gote hochi tamara affirmative sentence, gote negative sentence kemti habo, au kemti tamara interrogative sentence habo. Okay, eta tame dekhi partuba. Past perfect re bhi example diya hai, past continuous re bhi you can find these examples. Now, next slide. Now, when do we use the past simple tense? This is very important, children. Ketta bole hame past simple tense past simple ko use kariba. Simple past. Let's call it simple past. Ketta bole use kariba. It is used to describing actions in the past, but provided the action is completed in the past. Mane past ro kote action bisare hame denote kariba simple past ko. Kintu se action ta past re finish he jaithibo. So, for example, let's see. I finished my homework and went to my friend's house. I finished my homework. Went again is also it's a simple past. It's an irregular verb. So jadi normal ame verb namba verb sangari ed lagila. I finished my work and went to my friend's house. That action is complete. So action ta pending nai. Sorry gala. Mo sango gorku gali. Mo kamo sarli mo sango gorku jaiki asili. That's done. Next, I came home after lunch. Lunch pare mo gharu ko asili. So the action is complete. It's a past action where the action is complete. Now, habits. There are certain habits that are past rethai. For example, the past simple tense is also used to describe past habits. When referring to past habits, the past simple has the same meaning as the expression used to. So, kon vechu amane the habit kichi ame denote kariwa ku chahuche past tense re. So these words normally come in. Jemti often, usually, always, never. How? Let's see the meaning. I usually play tennis when I was in London. Mu jetebale London re thili mu pray tennis khele. This was my habit. But this was my habit in the past, not now. Okay? Now whether I'm playing tennis or no, we don't know. Mu jetebale London re thili, my habit was to play tennis, or I used to. Tame usually jo word jaka tame dekhi partuva. Let me underline for you. A jo word usually are meaning ta hi hochi I used to. So then it has the same meaning as the expression used to. Mane mu khelu thuli. Mar abhyas thila. I used to play tennis. Jota ame kone I used to play tennis. Ta jagare jetole tame sita ko simple past sentence lekhiba ko chesta kariba, it will be I usually play tennis. You can take the help of even or often. I often played tennis. Mane mu bahut samay re tennis kheluthili. Okay, you can also use the word the negative use kariba ku chahiba. You can say never. I never played tennis when I was in London. Kimba I never played tennis when I was a small kid. Tennis kheli nahi. Negative sentence. So you can use this word never. The meaning hochi used to. But when you put it in a past tense format, tahale tame e sobu words ko help nahi kari. Simple past tense ta create kariba. Okay. Now, events that started and finished in the past. For example, the past tense also describes events that happened in the past, lasted for a certain period of time, and then they got over. These actions are specified by using time periods such as whole year, whole week, all day. ताମାନେ कोन छुआ माने past रे action टा आरंभ हेची केते समय पई कंटिन्यू करला और past रे सरी गला आ कंटिन्यू करूनी किंतु केते समय पई कंटिन्यू करिथिला past रे तापरे से इवेंट टा सरी गला जेमिति I lived in London for 3 years. मु 3 वर्ष लंडन रे थिली. Okay, so what a specific period of time 3 वर्ष पई मु लंडन रे थिली. एबे ओ से इवेंट टा नाही. सेटा एबे से एक्शन टा ए समय रे तार किछि वैल्यू नाही. एटा past tense past रे गत माने back when you go back down your memory lane. So I lived in London for 3 years, or I lived in Kalandi for 5 years, or what do you call, how can you put this? You can take one more example. Let's say I was in Alaska for some time, or I was in kindergarten for 2 years. Okay, so जेमिति भी गोटे statement जोटा कि तम past रो गोटे action जोटा केते समय पई चलिला तापरे सरी गला. Then also we use simple past tense. Now, when do we use past continuous tense, Shaman? Again, the format is was/were plus ing. Okay, and this is your affirmative sentence. I was doing my homework. Example, I was not doing my homework. This is how you write a negative sentence in your past continuous negative kemti lekhiba. I was not doing my homework. Question kemti pachariba. Was I doing my homework? All right. Now, this is indication it describes actions that lasted for some time and it continued for some time. Etar dekhi parthbo tamara example re format re diya aichi. Affirmative sentence le kemti lekhibo verb was were plus verb plus ing plus your object. Jodi negative sentence subject plus did not plus the base form of the verb plus ing plus object. Question hele was kimba were plus subject plus your verb in the base form plus ing plus object. Basically, ये जो examples दिया है जी, यार format इतनी दिया है जी. ये format है तमुझे दी बुझी गला, then it is fine. Okay. Now let us see some examples. When do we use past continuous for? An action that was in progress at a stated time in the past. गोटे समय रे past रे ही गत समय रे गोटे action टा जोटा progress रे थिला. Example, I was working in the garden all day. माने गत काली और किंबा को भी गोटे समय रे I was working in the garden all day. मु garden रे काम करूथिली एबे करूची कि नाही we don't know. हेइताय पारे कंटिन्यू करूची, हेइताय पारे सॉरी जाइताय पारे. Okay, but I was working in the garden all day. Okay, मु दिन जाको काम करूथिली. Okay, or you can say I was swimming the entire day. I was swimming the entire day. मु दिन जाको swimming करथली. My mother was cooking the whole day. So जोठी गोटे जिंस चलीला गत समय रे आउ हे पारे सरी जाइथा पारे हे पारे तम मां कुकिंग सारी देई पारंती किंबा आउरी करूथाय पारंती. That is a question. So past continuous ta a summary, or a past action which was in progress when another action interrupted. It is very important, children. गोटे progress रे गोटे action चली थिला आउ गोटे आउटे action आसिकी ताको interrupt करला. केमिति? I was walking to the bus stop when I met my friend. कौन हला? मु bus stop को चालू थुली. I was walking to the bus stop. सेतेबेले कौन हला? When I met my friend. आउ गोटे action हला. So seତେବେଳେ भी you will use past continuous. Okay. Next, two more actions were happening at two or more actions happening at the same time. ଦି ତିନିଟା action ଯଦି ଏକା ସାଙ୍ଗରେ ହଉଛି, then also we will use past continuous. How? Sorry, ଦି ତିନିଟା action ଏକା ସାଙ୍ଗରେ ହେଇଥିଲା, then we use past continuous. How? The birds were singing, the sun was shining, and in the coffee shop people were laughing. ତିନିଟା action ହଉଛି. Birds ଗୀତ ଗାଉଥିଲେ, सूर्य शाइन करथिला और कॉफी शॉप रे लोक हसुथिले. सो तीनटा एक्शन जो समय रे होउतला गत समय रे सेटा को तमे जदी कहबा को चाहबो, you have to use past continuous. All right, children, let's go to the next slide. Now let's read the following sentences. Rohit had already left when we arrived at the party. Next, he had broken his leg and it was still hurting. This is what, children? This is your past perfect tense. We use it to talk about an action which finished its action in the past. For example, and you can use these are the expressions we use with past perfect. For example, before, already, after, just, when, never, esobut ase past perfect. For example, Rohit had already, had already left. So already palaitilani. Okay. He had broken his leg, it was still hurting. Okay. Mane se action ta past rehichi, tar effect ta eponto bhi chali thai. And it was still hurting. Se ta goda bhangi thila, au ebbe porjanto seta bothata rahichi. Okay. Now, everything had seemed normal at first. Everything had seemed normal at first. Mane, sabu jinsa normal padi lagu thila. All right, children. So, okay. Mane, gotte action hobba purbaru, we use it to talk about an action which finished before another action. Okay. He had broken his leg and it was still hurting. Gotte action, we talk about an action which finished before another action in the past. For example, Rohit had already left when we arrived at the party. Ame jetebale party re pahunchile Rohit palelani. Tamane dita ko action past re gote action ho ara action ta hei sartilani. Okay, so that is when you use past perfect, children. Now, see these sentences. I had been watching TV for an hour. Had been watching, this is your past perfect continuous tense. Similarly, she had been painting her room, past perfect continuous tense. So when do we use past perfect continuous tense? Let's see. It is for a past action which started and finished in the past before another past action, putting emphasis on the duration. This is very important, children. You have to put emphasis on the duration. Mane se jo samay upare emphasis, mane ta upare stress padibo. Kemiti? I had been watching TV for an hour. Mu ghanta tehla TV dekhi astili. When I remember, jettabale mate mana padla je, mu mo sanga ko phone kariba bhuli gali. So it is for a past action which started and finished in the past before another past action. Etare be same. Gote past action haba purbaru a action ta sari jaichi which started and finished, putting emphasis on the duration. Samay kette samay re se action ta last kala ta upare stress padibo. For example, she had been painting her room and her clothes were covered in paint. Etare obviously duration upar emphasis nahi, but in general emphasis thai. Imti, she had been painting her room. Gote arambha karthila and it got finished before and her clothes were covered in paint. Okay? Tamane kon la se paint jehetu karila ta room ko paint kari astila and her clothes were covered in paint. Because she had been painting her room, her clothes were covered in paint. Okay, so for a past action which started and finished in the past before another past action. Gote past action purbaru, au gote action, past action, arambha hoiki sorry thiba kotha. Then we use past perfect continuous tense. Now let's do some exercises, children. Now there's one more thing. For an action which lasted for some time in the past and the result was still visible in the past. So 8 example hochi the first one. Jotare ki emphasis on the duration diya hai. Mane ghanta tehla mu TV dekhutuli, tenu mo sango ko phone kariba bhuli gali. Dutyota hochi for the second one, where the jotare ki action jota kete samo pai chalila past re, kintu ta result abhi past re hi visible hai gala. Mane past re action ta hela, past re ta result abhi hela. Se jehetu tara room paint kala, ta luga pota paint re cover hai gala. So dita ko action mane action or reaction dita ko past re visible hui. Then we use past perfect continuous. All right, children, let's do some exercises. The expressions that we use here, for, since, until ए expressions भी केबे केबे use हुए. All right. Next one. Now complete the following conversation. This is from your textbook, children. Let us see. We use either past simple kimba present perfect form re. It use kemti haba. Already ame jehetu present tense kariche mu exercise taku neli. Now what are these people doing here? What dash? The answer is it can be has happened or it can be happened, children. D tech or right. What has happened? You can say. Okay. What's happened? You can say, or what happened? Both are right. You can use either. Then there was an accident. What happened? There was an accident. Accident. An accident. What dash exactly? What happened exactly? Now, a cat run across the road in front of a car. These are your verbs which have to be, transformed into either past simple or past present perfect. So you tell me. A cat ran across the road in front of a car. The driver tried to, 1 minute, children, let me show you so that, yeah, 1 second. Sorry. 1 second. Okay, so a cat ran across the road in front of a car. The driver tried to apply the brake and hit the tree on the side of the road. So, 80 chwamane, the kubartubo ran, tried, hit. Both are in simple past tense only. All right. When did it happen? When did it happen? Okay. Do, does, did. When did it happen? Now, about 10 minutes ago, did anyone call for an ambulance? Has anyone called for an ambulance? Has anyone called for an ambulance? No, not yet, but the police has arrived. Present perfect, the police has arrived. This is the second incident we had here this week. This is simple past tense. This is in your textbook, children, so very easy, not to worry. Now, it will become a textbook. It will fill in the blanks. You know this. So I will just give the answer. Once when I was reading in my room, I heard a lot of noise. It a past simple, kimba past progressive. So the answer is right here for you. Once when I was reading in my room, I heard a lot of noise outside. I came out and saw that many people were running in a particular direction. They were shouting. Again, this is, what is it? This is past progressive. Were shouting at the top of their voice. They all had buckets and water pots in their hand. Had is simple past. I asked them what the matter was. Somebody pointed at a house at the end of a village. I saw that the house was burning. People were throwing water at the house, and very soon the fire came under control. So I've just given the answer, children, for the worksheet. Textbook worksheet answer. Now, complete the following dialogue. This also is very interesting. Already answer. Federer, my best moment in the match was when I realized that the game had finished. We are using either past perfect or past perfect progressive only. Okay. So my best moment in the match was when I realized that the game, 1 second, let me show you. Okay. Verb. So you have to convert this into either past perfect or past perfect progressive. So had finished. It had finished. And I became the champion, and I had become the champion. I had won at last. Win becomes had won. At that moment, I had become the best tennis player of the world. Because we are only using past perfect or past perfect progressive. All right. Next, reporter. And when you won, how long had you been playing? You and play. How will you change this? How long had you been playing? Kette borsa hela kheli asicho. So Federer says, I started just before I finished school. Finished. This is again a simple past, children. That means I had been playing. I had been playing past perfect progressive. Mu 6 ବର୍ଷ ହେଲା ଖେଳି ଆସିଥିଲି when I won Wimbledon. So ଆମେ ଦେଖିଲେ ଛୁଆ ମାନେ जे already past perfect progressive केतेବେଳେ use करिबा गोटे duration एडी गोटे duration भी अछि and when I want तेनु we will be using past perfect progressive here. ATB, how long? ATB, there is the emphasis on the duration. Here also emphasis on the duration. Now, you had beaten some good players before you won the tournament. You had beaten some good players, past perfect tense. Okay. Now, let's go to the next slide. Acha, these are extra exercises, children. You don't textbook nahi, just for your practice. Now, here the options are given. Choose the right option. She dashed the railway station before the train came. She had reached. This is had reached. This is not has reached, this is had reached, AGT. She had reached the railway station before the train came. Train asiba purbaru se already pahanchi sarthilani. Okay. Now, Peter dashed 2 tickets. Peter had taken 2 tickets before rain interrupted play. Rain jogu khela band hoba purbaru Peter dita wicket nei sarthilani. Peter had taken 2 wickets before rain interrupted play. Before the incident, Aro incident haba purbaru se dita wicket nei sarthilani. Okay. Now, I had seen him twice before he left for New York. Okay, I met him twice before he left for New York. Both jagare bhi tume padithiba, but it is better to say I had seen him twice before he left for New York. Okay. Next. I left school last year. Not I had left school last year. I left school last year, simple past. Now, we had already eaten when John came home, simple past. I opened my handbag to find that I had forgotten. This is what? Past perfect. I had forgotten my credit card. Mujhe gote incident ho, aro incident hella. I had opened my handbag to find that I had forgotten my credit card. I opened the fridge to find that someone had eaten, again past perfect. I had known my husband for 3 years when we got married. I had known my husband for 3 years. ATB samay aschi, ame first slide re padithile, if sometimes when there is a time duration mentioned in the past, which is over, then we use simple past. Okay. It dashed rain all summer, so the grass was completely dead. Now, this is a very important sentence. Ghasa pura sukhi ki mari jaithila. Kahinki? Because it had not rained or it hadn't rained. It's a negative sentence. Jehetu borsa padilani, ghasa sabu sukhi gala. So, past perfect hele bhi, it is a negative sentence. So, it hadn't rained. You have to use had plus not plus your verb plus ed. It had not rained. Okay. When he dashed at the party, Julia had already left. So when he arrived at the party, Julia had left. Okay. Kana it is simple past tense rehi hobo. When he arrived at the party, Julia had left. So children, I hope you understood today's session. If there are any doubts, I don't know how to clarify them. Maybe I'll check with our Aveti if we can share a WhatsApp group and get your doubts cleared. Okay. Thank you for being part of today's class, children. I'll see you again next week.